Hello, everybody. Welcome to the NX Show's Bethesda Conference briefing reaction video here. It's me, hi, Corey, joined by Ed, that retro code, and the wise Wisconsinite Jesse Douglas. We're going to talk.
How's it going?
We're going to take about 15 minutes here to talk about the Bethesda Conference. To be honest, we might not need that long, but I just want to kind of talk about how it went and, what your guys' favorite things were and everything. So, let's get started. Bethesda had another conference. They led off with some interesting things. They led off with a Switch game, technically a mobile game, but is coming to Switch. And then they showed off a bunch of games. Ghostwire, the new Tequila Works, or Tango Game Work. God, Tequila Works, jeez. That game Guilt is on my mind from the Stadia thing.
Such a good looking game.
Yeah, that game looks interesting. From Tango. And then we had Doom Eternal, obviously, 2 Wolfenstein games. Fallout 76 had a big showing, bigger than I was really anticipating. And some mobile stuff. So, what did you guys think of Bethesda's conference?
It was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't annoying like last year's was. Besides Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngbloods, it was kind of mediocre. Just like you could have did a direct and kept it moving. Like, it wasn't nothing too exciting or anything.
I mean, I think there was stuff exciting for people who play the games that they showed.
Yes.
Like the Elder Scrolls Online stuff, I'm sure people were going nuts because they showed, 3 expansions coming?
Yeah.
And then they showed Elder Scrolls Blades is coming to Switch, as well as mobile, and they showed off the card game, which is coming to mobile. I think they said it was coming tonight, so...
and Rage 2 was kind of funny.
Yeah, the Rage 2 expansion stuff was pretty funny. That was pretty good.
Yeah, and then obviously my favorite, the Commander Keen.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I wish it wasn't coming to mobile. I wish it was like a platformer coming to Switch and the other consoles.
Yeah.
So
I'm probably still gonna get it for phone or whatever. Sure. Just because, but I mean, like I was telling you guys during the thing, that it doesn't hold up the greatest, because like they said, basically Commander Keen was basically one of their very first games that they made, and what they were doing is they were basically trying to make a clone of Mario for PC, trying to figure out a way how they made that platformer games work, and so basically when they finally figured out the trick of how to make it work. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot that was involved in trying to make a game like that work on the PC, because it was hard. It was a hard thing to recreate, and so when they finally did, and then Commander Keen, and I believe them creating that had basically been what got them picked up, and brought them to the forefront of PC gaming at the time, and then they became, then they were eventually, came out with things like they had Wolfenstein and all that stuff going on, pretty early, and then, before you know it, they're pretty big, a pretty big developer, and we're coming out with some, crazy games that just doing things that hadn't been really seen yet. So it's I could maybe, I'll try to see if I can find that video that I told you guys about, where they kind of go over the history of them and the starting of Commander Keen and how all that stuff went, and then I can share it on the Facebook page and on Twitter, for the NX show. But yeah, because it's a pretty interesting story thing. But they have some stuff on YouTube you can find where they kind of talk about that earlier stuff. If you're not as you're not quite as familiar with the earlier ID, software and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I was excited for that, but
And Deathloop
a fan.
Yeah, and Deathloop looks really good. I was getting a comic kind of feel for it. Protagonist is actually black, so there is black representation in the video games. And kind of fun. I think I need to see the actual gameplay to see what it really is about. Is it going to be like a story-based game, or is it going to be like a arena? Like you get 9 stages and you have some enemies thrown in.
I want to know if, like, when they were developing this game, they used the tech to do the moon stuff for Prey, because like Deathloop tells me that it's kind like, in the way the trailer was kind of showing, it kind of looked like if you die you restart, and like it's like a time warp Deathloop thing, and you got to do runs through the situations and stuff. And I don't know, like if it's like a like Dishonored or something in that kind of vein, where like it's almost stage based and you can kind of tackle things the way you want to, like that seems really interesting. But if it's like a procedurally generated kind of roguelike kind of thing that the moon stuff was for Prey, then I'm just like, I'm out completely, because like that stuff just doesn't interest me. And like I know that's like, oh well, that sucks for you, but like I want a game that's put together and thought out and not procedurally generated, and like
right.
I know that's kind of like,
because it looks like it has a good story that it wants to tell.
Yeah, it does.
And I kind of want to find out what's going on. But yeah, I agree with you, Corey.
Yeah. So that game looks really cool, though. I think the premise is really cool. I just hope it's like I hope it's not procedurally generated and a roguelike kind of first person thing. I hope it's more like Dishonored and Thief and games like that, So, but that game looks really cool. What other games stood out to you guys? What other? I mean, Wolfenstein clearly stood out.
Yeah.
I think, if you buy the $40 version, you get that buddy pass thing where you can give your friends the co-op pass and you guys can play it through together, which is cool. That's why I asked you, Ed, if you were getting it for Switch, because I was going to give Jesse my buddy pass to play through it. So
no, that's
because I mean I knew you were getting it, Ed. So so I mean I think Wolfenstein Youngblood looks cool, especially because Arcane did a lot of the level design for it.
Yeah.
So it's more open and less linear, which I think is really cool. So
for me it was just kind of like, and I was kind of I'm looking forward to like the Rage 2 stuff as well. So
yeah,
but I mean, like kind of like Ed said, like it wasn't bad. Like I was interested in most of the stuff that they were showing. I just like wasn't like overly excited. I think part of it is honestly I'm like super tired.
Well,
I've had a really energy draining week. So but
I think the thing about Bethesda's conference is that you don't get anything different or new genre wise. You get the first person shooters, you get the RPG stuff, and it's just like you guys have been stuck making these same games over and over. So you really haven't like, I want to see a 2D game that's like a platformer that you could play on console. I would love to see what y'all could do with a crazy football game. in the realm of the NFL, but make it very arcadey or something like NBA Jam. Like I would love to see Bethesda go to a whole bunch of different genres and really do something different. Because I mean, y'all good. They're good at what they do. That's fine. But I'm like, you guys need to try to do something different. I think if they allowed to do different genres and like really show gameplay instead of CGI cutscenes and stuff, I think their show would be more interesting. They got a good. They always have a good flow of stuff, and depending on who comes out and who's enthusiastic or not, they just need to show some different stuff, like some different genre games. Like, what can y'all do with a what can y'all do with a racing game?
Yeah, then you've got like the kind of the backlash that we've kind of witnessed recently with the people getting all upset at Ninja Theory, their choice for their next game and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but I think a lot of people, I think the backlash came more from, and might be just me on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, Jesse, but the Anarchy Reigns. People was talking about more about that, and that's why Ninja Theory was talking about backlash because Anarchy Reigns. I don't know the connection about that, but I'm just like, it's from what I'm seeing on Twitter, people who have actually been playing Bleeding Edge, they have really been enjoying it. It's like the combat is solid and it's super fun. So I think it's just one of those things that we probably got to get our hands on. But like for Bethesda, it's just like, I think people would tune in to be like, oh, they're doing literally new stuff, like new genres of games. And as kooky or crazy as artful that it is visually, it's something that people will be willing to stick around and see. Because it felt like a lot of people just like, they're not liking the conference, they're tuning out. And so, also, I would like to see more of that Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. That's something. It's VR, and that was the only VR thing there. But I'm just like, maybe that might be something cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll see more. Like they said, we'll see more of that stuff later, like at the
QuakeCon.
QuakeCon or whatever and
DoomCon.
stuff. But yeah, DoomCon. QuakeCon, Age of Doom, or whatever. What is that? What it was?
Something like that.
Age of Doom or something.
Oh man, that's funny. Speaking of Doom Eternal looks really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
I mean, it's more Doom, and it looks like they're making a lot of improvements that you're like, in the first game, like you didn't really think about, but then when they added it, you're like, oh yeah, why didn't they add that? Like the little shoulder cannon thing, the hook shot, the what was the other thing that they added? There was one other thing that they added. The dashing.
Yeah, the dash.
So, like, I think that all looks really cool, and
the gun on the shoulder. Like,
I said that. So I think Doom looks awesome. It makes me want to go back and finish the first one because, as with a lot of other games, I didn't finish it. So
you should, and then we could play some multiplayer too.
Yeah, man. That multiplayer, by the way, I played a little bit on Switch for a while, and it played like Halo. It played like old school Halo, which is understandable because it's it's by certain affinity. So that was really cool.
Just really quick, if you're interested in learning about the like the history of ID Software, they actually there's a I'm not really sure who they are, but if you search the history of ID Software on YouTube, there's a I'm guessing like some kind of gamer type podcast that's got a YouTube page. It's called Ragnaroks, and they do the history of ID Software, and they break down like all the old games, so like, or like from the years, I mean, so like the one that's it's the history of ID Software, Commander Keen, so it's the history from 1987 through 1991. And then after that, the next one is focused on Wolfenstein 3D.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can kind of go on there and you can watch the history, kind of like learn all that early history of ID Software, and like how all these games, basically a lot of the games that we've seen today, like how they started, like, and how they became what a thing in the first place. So yeah, I watched both of them and they were super interesting. Like each episode is only like 10 minutes, I think, long or something like that. So they're not like super long either.
Yeah.
They're condensed.
Yeah.
So.
Man. Yeah, that sounds also the book Masters of Doom. If you haven't read it, it's pretty good. So, just to go along with your id Software history stuff. So,
yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to touch on before we get out of here? I know I kind of wanted to keep this short, so.
I think we covered most of it. So
it was I'd say it was fairly solid, like from the middle on.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning was kind of, I felt like it started a little slow maybe, but it wasn't, like I'd said, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
way better than last year.
Yeah. Jeez, last year was just atrocious. Yeah. So that was Bethesda's reactions. I know we're doing an episode next weekend of the NX show, grading E3, but not as good as Microsoft's, but still decent for those people who play those games still and want those expansions and everything. So, I mean, look, I knew the games I wanted to see, and the stuff they showed for those games looked cool. So, Youngblood, I'm getting it on Switch, and Doom Eternal, I'm getting on Switch. So, I know that's not the platform of choice, but I really don't care. And if you want to come at me, you can suck it.
Well, and I guess one last thing that I was thinking of too is like I'm honestly like curious to see where Fallout 76 kind of is heading, because like I'll be honest, like I hope that game gets improved and more people play it, because it kind of is a bummer, like that, like something that's so beloved, even a lot of people who are super fans of Fallout, like just really got, were disappointed with it. So, and and kind of in that interview that they had with what's his name, like I think he mentioned something like that he was reading a lot of those tweets and things of people putting the game down, and he said, well, the thing is you got to read those, because those are the probably most likely the people who love your games the most, and they're just genuinely disappointed with it, and they want it to be better. Yeah. So hopefully they turn that around, because I mean, look what the game that was like everyone didn't like, No Man's Sky, like they ended up turning that game around, and it's like everyone talks about how much better it is now. So
yeah, I mean, they really turned that game around, by the way. That game. So I think that's gonna wrap it up here. I want to thank everybody for watching on the Twitch live stream. You can join us Tuesday for some Nintendo talk. Ed and I are going to talk about Nintendo stuff and do reactions on Tuesday, and then Wednesday we're going to do the stuff that is going up on Monday for conferences and everything. So that's Ubisoft, Square. Who else is on Monday?
PC.
Nah, I don't really care about PC gaming. And then I'm sure we'll cover the if there's anything interesting in the Kind of Funny Game Showcase, we'll cover that too at some point. So, yeah, I think that's it. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching us on Twitch right now, give us that follow, whatever. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.